Do you think real estate's a good investment? Well, in this episode, our guest is an expert when it comes to Bitcoin. He's written multiple books on the Bitcoin ecosystem. In this episode, we discuss interesting topics like artificial intelligence and how Bitcoin can actually save your life. I'm not joking. Also, we put a ton of time and energy into creating this content. So if you like what we're doing, please subscribe. Now let's get into the video. So you came out with a book called The 3-Minute Reads on Bitcoin, A Year of Thoughts. And before even diving into some of the questions I have around what you wrote about in the book, I'm wondering what inspired you initially to put this together.
The thing was, like, 3-Minute Reads on Bitcoin is just a collection of the articles I had written up to that point. So I started writing articles about Bitcoin in 2017, Medium articles, and got published by an online magazine called Hacker Noon for a long time there. And I decided at some point to just see what the process was like making a book and publish DIY publishing it, on self-publishing a book basically, and putting it together. So I did, and that's when I realized that now the only book with my name on it that's available on the internet is a book I'm not really proud of, because it's just a collection of articles and it's not even proofread or edited or anything. So it wasn't a very good book. So that's why I decided to write Sovereignty Through Mathematics and make a proper book about Bitcoin. I told the story a million times, but I started writing that on New Year's Eve 2019 and promised myself to write a page a day for the entire year. That was my New Year's resolution. And like all other New Year's resolutions, you break them at a certain point, and I broke mine after 106 days, because I really felt the book was done at that point. So that's when I released it. And the rest is history.
So when you look at the environment today, it feels like there's a huge attack going on the industry. You're seeing all these bank failures. You're seeing people getting really upset about crypto, to use a blanket term. Bitcoin gets looped in with crypto a lot.
Yeah, that's why I don't like the term the industry. There's no Bitcoin industry. There's a crypto industry. And it's a bunch of snake oil salesmen trying to lure gullible people into their schemes. And that's an industry, I guess.
So I think that Bitcoin means different things to a lot of different people. In the West, a lot of people are purely looking at this as a speculative asset, and they're not like the Bitcoiners who've really dove down past just looking at the market value. What do you think, or let's say that you're speaking to someone who is in that camp where they're saying, look, I don't think Bitcoin has value, and they are just at the very tippy top of the rabbit hole. They've maybe read a few articles. What are the first things that you try and introduce them to in terms of concepts or places where you point them to really get them to start to understand what we're looking at here within the Bitcoin ecosystem?
That's a good question. The first thing that comes to mind is that GIF from the Dark Knight movie where Morgan Freeman says, "Good luck." you know that one? Sarcastically, like, good luck with that. But I don't know. First of all, everything is speculation. Like, whenever we act, we speculate that something will happen in the future. We anticipate the future. So there's no clear line between what constitutes speculation and not. I think the problem is mostly that people think they buy Bitcoins to acquire more dollars. But you should really accumulate Bitcoin to have fewer dollars. That's a way better goal long term.
So with all that said, why do you and many other Bitcoiners, when you talk about Bitcoin, talk about apex property rights, ultimate property rights? What's the difference in you owning Bitcoin versus you owning a house, for example?
Bitcoin is not something you own. It's not even something you possess. It's a secret you keep. And keeping a secret, anyone can do that. Owning a house, like when you own a house in a society without absolute property rights, when you don't have the right to be left alone, the only other right you have is the right to obey whatever rule set is de jure that is there at the moment. Your house may be taken away. Yes, there might be a lot of bureaucracy in the way, and you might find a way to around the laws that are in your area at that time, so you can find your way around stuff, but that's only true for the era in which you live. It's not very long term. So the difference between owning a Bitcoin and owning anything else is, like, Bitcoin is the first actual intellectual property. Knowing the secret is not only owning the Bitcoin, but it's being the Bitcoin. You are the Bitcoin. So you're not your house, you're not your car. and you're not some stupid JPEG that you can prove that you may or may not have bought at a certain point. You're not that, but you are your Bitcoins. So that's the difference.
And it can mean the difference between life and death in many cases.
It can. Yeah.
If you can't get money to get out of a country that's going into a war, let's say that you were in Ukraine and all of a sudden you can't get your money out of the bank. If you knew the passcode for your Bitcoin, you could still access capital and get out of there. And these are things where it's never a problem until it's a massive problem. Same type of thing with property. You can take billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin with you to another country, no problem. You're not going to be able to take billions of dollars worth of real estate with you. And that real estate can be easily taken away.
When the Ukraine war started, the war in Ukraine started, there was a picture going around the internet of someone trying to cross a border that had like a whole pack of rubles, a whole pack of dollars, and a gold bar confiscated by customs somewhere. I don't remember which border, but it doesn't matter. What matters is that picture got viral, and it got a ton of comments below it saying, "Look at this idiot who can't remember 12 words." and it's true. He was an idiot for not being able. And yeah, so that happens now. What happens next is that other people see this, including other people that are trying to flee countries, and they will learn from these mistakes. And at some point, they realize that all they have to do to escape is to memorize 12 words. One of the greatest moments in my Bitcoin writing career was when a guy from Venezuela messaged me on Twitter saying that my writings helped him escape the country and escape a totalitarian country with 12 words in his head and just crossing the border to Colombia and never coming back. And that touched me deeply. Like my little scribblings from my bedroom had changed a person's life on the other side of the globe. And that's the thing with Bitcoin. Like everything you do in it has ripple effects and butterfly effects all over the planet. And we're truly helping something truly beautiful come to life here by just having this conversation and all of this stuff. It's so insanely powerful when you start thinking about what it actually means. So yeah, like I said, I'm optimistic.
Yeah, well, the more I speak with you about this, the more optimistic I'm getting, because you make some very good points. I think that every conversation, every podcast, every piece of writing, you can go and if you orange pill at least one person, especially if they're in a place where they need this type of information more than many of the people in the Western world today realize, it changes lives in a big way, a very big way. And it's hard to see when you see people trying to attack the industry ecosystem, attack the Bitcoin ecosystem, and try and stop the mining process. They're not going to stop Bitcoin. They're just hurting their own jurisdiction that they're governing over. We talked about Nostr the other day. There's someone else on the podcast, but we haven't talked about Fedimint, and I'd love to dive down that rabbit hole with you if you're open to it.
Yeah, I know little about it, but I know some.
We can just go very high level for everyone listening, because I'm assuming that many people out there just haven't even maybe have heard the name thrown around, but don't know anything about it.
Yeah, so Fedimint is a way for small villages in Africa to make hodling Bitcoin and not using custodial services. If you know what a multisig is, that you need X out of Y keys in order to unlock the Bitcoin and move them somewhere. So Fedimint is basically giving you a network of trusted third parties, ironically enough, that you can set up multisig Bitcoin wallets with.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what are some of the developments that we haven't talked about here that you've been most excited by or that you've been noticing?
Nostr and Fedimint are like the big ones, I guess. And I should really get on Nostr. I haven't started that yet because I just don't have time for another social media in my life at this point. But I do understand the power of it. There's a couple of companies that I'm working with. I'm an advisor for the Orange Pill app, which is an interesting thing.
That's great. Yeah.
Where you can find other Bitcoiners within a certain radius from where you are. So it gives us out as little information as possible about your location, but shows you how far off other Bitcoiners are. So you can easily contact them and decide to meet them and even date them if you want to. And that's growing growing pretty fast and going better than I expected it to. And it's cool to see that network evolve. More than that, there's this platform called Emeralize, which I'm very excited about because the praxeology book will be turned into a course on Emeralize app. So it's a Lightning Network powered cross between Udemy and Substack. So it's basically online education with Lightning Network payment solutions. There's a lot of things happening behind the curtains there too. So I know a whole bunch of people are working behind the curtains and making the wheels turn in the Bitcoin space for sure. And things are being built and it's very exciting.
That's awesome. I hadn't actually heard of all of those yet. I had heard of the Orange Pill app because Brian DeMint, he was on one of our weekly Twitter spaces. And
yeah, Brian's great.
Yeah, he's amazing. He's actually a customer of Saz Mining. He's currently mining Bitcoin with us on Hydro. But
nice.
During that conversation, I got the chance to learn a lot about the Orange Pill app. I joined it just before the actual conversation with him, so I'd become a user. And so my experience coming into it, I was amazed because first off, I like the concept. It sounds weird, but I like the concept of paying up front. I think it just removes fake accounts. It removes a lot of scams. And at the end of the day, if you're not paying for something, you're the product in a big way.
Exactly.
And Bitcoiners understand value for value. So I had no problem getting on there. And I think that psychologically, there's something about not only being value aligned with many of the people on certain things because everyone on there is on the Orange Pill app into Bitcoin, but people are just very responsive on there too. So I'm on there. I'm responsive. Probably more responsive there than on a lot of other places. And it's been incredible hearing the metrics of how quickly the Orange Pill app has grown. Once that's fully up and running, and we have our bearings on our end, I think it would be great to start using that as an events app. The last topic that I want to dive into with you a little bit, if we can, is artificial intelligence. So if you've been playing around with these tools like ChatGPT and any of these other AI tools that have been coming out?
I think everyone has played around with them, even though they don't know that they have for quite some time now. Every time you do a Google search, there's an AI doing a ton of stuff in the background, I guess. And I haven't been using ChatGPT very much, if at all. What I have been using are these tools to help me write, like Grammarly. I'm using Grammarly a lot, and there's a powerful AI in that helps me with my writing.
All right, that's it for today's video. If you like what we're creating here, then subscribe, but you're not going to want to miss this video right here on central bank digital currencies. Up until this point, you've probably only gotten a part of the story. This is going to give you the entire story right here. Click on it. That's it for today. I'll catch you in the next one.
Inflation